Hello, welcome to the very first Flaming Dice review video. Today we are going to be looking at Sentinels of the Multiverse. This is a really cool deck building game revolving around a fictional universe of superheroes. At least fictional as in not Marvel or DC. What did you think about this game?
I think it's hard, but fun at the same time because you're working as a team to defeat villains.
That is a very good point. It is a cooperative game, which gives it extra cool points in my opinion. What do you think? We just got our butts kicked, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's a hard game.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. This is a very difficult game. It's sort of the opposite of Pandemic. Pandemic is easier the fewer number of players you have. This game is much easier the more players you have, because you have more superheroes going before the villain goes. And the villain can be pretty nasty. So, we're going to open it up and take a look at some of the components, and then we will give it a final Flaming Dice review score. And you can visit www.flamingdice.blog.com to see the scoring, what's the word I'm looking for? System. The scoring system. That's www.flamingdice.blog.com, and it will be down in the links. So here we have an example of the components that come inside of Sentinels of the Multiverse. Over on the left we have the damage modifiers, or modifiers in general. Some of them change the way damage is done or taken. Some of them make, like this middle one, make a character immune to damage. Each one of these is double-sided, has different stuff on there. And you'll notice everything that comes in the game, all of these tokens look just like boxes out of a comic book, which I think is really cool and very thematic. Up at the top we have our damage tokens. So as a character is done damage, either a hero or a villain or a minion, they are assigned damage tokens, or damage tokens are taken away and they're used more like hit points. We've done it either way. It both works very well. Now this is an example of a hero. This is the mighty Ra, god of the sun. Now Ra, here you'll notice that the card looks just like the cover of a comic book, which I think is really cool. And it has where the issue would be, it has their life points. So in this case, Ra has 30 hit points. Down at the bottom, you have the hero's power. So every turn during the power phase, Ra can deal one target 2 fire damage. Now during the play phase of the turn, where a player can play a card, you can play a card. In this example, this is a one-shot. Ra deals one target, 3 fire damage. Ra deals up to 5 other targets, 1 fire damage each. And that can be useful if the villain has different minions out, so it can damage multiple enemies. Put up to 3 cards from the environment trash on the bottom of the environment deck. And the environment trash is like the environment discard, because in this game, the environment gets to take a turn just like the heroes and the villain. You may draw as many cards as you move this way. So that's cool, it helps you get more cards. Here's an ongoing that increases Ra's damage. But Ra has to take damage every turn in order to keep this bonus. So in this case, Ra would have damage +1, or damage dealt +1, damage dealt +1, if this card was on the table. If he opted not to take this damage, then this card would be destroyed and he would lose his bonuses. Here's another type of card, which is equipment. And this card makes it to where Ra regains 3 hit points when it is equipped. It increases his damage +1. And as his power, he can deal one target, 3 projectile damage, and then destroy this card. So that's a really versatile card. So here we see 3 of the other heroes that come in the Sentinels of the Multiverse base game. To the left we have Wrath, who is a female Batman type character who deals a lot of damage with her equipment, lots of modifiers through her equipment, very similar to the Batman utility belt. Tempest is sort of a storm type hero. He's actually very versatile. He does some damage, he can heal his allies, he can affect the environment by destroying permanents, if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, that are on the field that are negatively affecting the heroes. Haka is sort of a Conan the Barbarian, big, brawly tank guy, does a lot of damage, is really tough. These are three really cool heroes, and that's one of the best things about this game, is that the base game comes with 9 or 10, I believe it's 10 heroes that you can play with. And there's a lot of expansions that broaden those choices, but the base game comes with 10, and they're very different, and they play very differently. Some are damage dealers, some are support, some are tanks, and I think that's really cool. Another really cool thing about the way that Sentinels of the Multiverse comes is the box itself. Now, each hero has their own deck and their own divider so that you can easily find it and keep track of where all the cards are. For example, here's the hero Fanatic and Fanatic's deck. And it's easily stored right here along with the other 9 heroes that come in the base game. And the box has plenty of room for other heroes as you acquire the expansions. Same thing goes for the bad guys, or the villains. Grand Warlord Voss, Baron Blade, Citizen Dawn, and Omnitron, which come with the base game, and the environments, which are Insula Primalis, if I said that right, Megalopolis, Ruins of Atlantis, and the Wagner Mars base. So everything's got its own section in the box, which I really like, and then it's got space for all the tokens and damage markers. So the box is very organized. I really like that. One of the coolest things about this game is how everything is comic book themed. Even the rule book is shaped just like a comic book. And you can see everything in here supports that theme. One of the things I wanted to talk about was the hero turn before I show you a little bit of gameplay. In every turn, the hero has their start phase, which allows them to take part in any actions that their constants on the field have, like their ongoing cards or their equipment cards that require a start of the turn action. This is when that is handled. Then they have their play phase, where the player plays a card. Then you have your power phase, where heroes can use their equipment, their ongoing cards, or their character card power to actually perform an action in the game. Then, near the end of the turn is the draw phase, which I find a little strange that the draw phase is at the end of the turn, but that's a minor quibble. And then the end of phase, and just like at the start of phase, any cards that require a player to take an action at the end of their phase are done at that time. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of a turn in action. So this is going to be an example of a hero's turn. In this example, I'm playing Legacy, which is sort of a Superman support role. Really cool character, really fun to play, very versatile. Now, the start phase, which is the very first step in a player's turn, is where I would do any type of upkeep. I don't have any in this case, so we're going to skip past that and go to the play phase. Now, in this turn, I have my hand of cards, of course, and I'm going to play one. I'm going to play Surge of Strength, which increases damage dealt by Legacy by 1. So that's pretty cool. So as a reminder, I'm going to put this modifier token. Now Legacy already has damage taken -1 because of an ongoing I've played. It's this one, Fortitude. Reduce damage dealt to Legacy by 1. So I have these tokens up here to remind me of that. Now each turn after the play phase is the power phase. So in this case I have 2 powers available to me. I have this power, which is lent by one of the cards. Legacy is immune to the damage type of your choice until the start of your next turn. Or I have the power that comes with every character. I mean, everyone's different, but every character comes with a power that they can use. And in this case, it's until the start of your next turn, increase damage dealt by hero targets by 1. So all of my buddies that are fighting with me would get these as well. And I would put those in front of them so that they knew that whenever they dealt damage, they got that bonus. Then I would have my draw phase, which will let me draw a card. And then the end phase, which if I had anything that required upkeep, this is where I would do that. I don't, so it's no longer my turn, and play continues throughout the other characters. Now, much like a hero has a turn, the villain also has a turn, in addition to the environment, which I'll show you in a moment. But sticking with the villain, let me show you some differences. The villain, instead of having one character card like the heroes, has 2 cards. One is their primary, which shows their hit points, Baron Blade having 40, and then it has a rules card. So every villain behaves a little bit differently. For example, whenever the game starts, Baron Blade starts with this mobile defense platform, which has 10 hit points, and its ability is that Baron Blade is immune to damage. So Baron Blade would have one of the immune to damage modifiers on it, or on him, while the mobile defense platform was in play. Once this is destroyed, however, the modifier is removed and players can target Baron Blade. This would go into his discard pile. Now every turn, Baron Blade has an ability. It says at the start of the villain turn, if there are 15 or more cards in the villain trash, Baron Blade's Telelunar Implosion Beam activates, pulling the moon into the earth. Game over. So Baron Blade has this ability that if 15 cards are in the trash at the beginning of his turn, he wins and the heroes lose. Now, just like heroes, the villains get to play a card. They don't have a hand, but the top card of their deck is flipped over. In this case, a Blade Battalion comes out. Now, just like that mobile defense platform, the Blade Battalion has 5 hit points. Now, the defense platform had 10, but this has 5. So heroes have to choose at this point. Do you want to attack the main bad guy, or do you want to get his minion? Because this minion has the ability, at the end of the villain turn, this card deals the hero target with the highest HP X melee damage, where X is the current HP of this card. So in this case, at the end of Baron Blade's turn, his Blade Battalion would deal the character, or the hero, with the highest hit points, 5 damage. As the Blade Battalion takes damage, his ability gets a little bit weaker, but you still want to take him out because he is still dealing damage to the heroes every single turn. Now let's take a look at the environment. So not only do you get to choose your heroes that you're going to play with, and not only do you get to choose the villain, you also get to choose an environment, further adding to the customization of this game. In this case, we have Megalopolis. And just like the heroes and the villains get a turn each, so does the environment. For example, during this environment turn, we flip over this card. Heroes can't use their powers. On the next one, hero cards can't be played, so heroes can't play cards. So these are cards that have to be dealt with, or else it gives the villain an advantage because it makes the hero's job a little bit harder. So this is just another thing that makes some or adds some tough choices to the game. Alright, so now that we've seen what is inside of the box, let's talk about some of our final thoughts and opinions. I really, really like this game. 1, because it's cooperative. 2, because I enjoy superheroes. Some people might not like it if they're not into superheroes or hesitant to give superhero games a try, like I usually am. But I think overall it's a fantastic game. What did you think? What's your favorite thing about this game?
I like how it's co-op and you can play with all your family and just have a great time.
Cool. What's your favorite thing about this game?
That even though your guy is out, he's not technically out. He can still be in the battle.
Right, because on your character card, like we saw in the middle of the video, once he's out or knocked out, you still have abilities that help the team. That is really cool. Is there anything that you don't like about the game? No?
Mm-mm.
No?
The game is great.
The game is great. I would say that there are a couple of quirks to the game. One of those being that if you have a fewer number of players, it is definitely harder. Because the game goes, like we saw in the middle, it goes villain, player, 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 then the environment. The fewer players you have in there, you have villain, player, player, environment, villain. The difficulty scales tremendously. I would definitely recommend playing this game with 4 or 5 players. I think it'll make it a lot more enjoyable. One of the other quirks is it is a little bit more complicated than a lot of your co-op games that kids can play. So I think these two have a little bit of trouble sometimes picking a good card that works. Overall, they do a great job, but I think sometimes some of the nuances of the strategy escape them. That could be difficult for younger players. This guy is 10 and this guy's 12, and they get it. But like I said, some of the nuances a little bit over their head. Now, concerning the final score of the game, if you go to our website at www.flamingdice.blog.com, one of the tabs at the top actually has an explanation of the scoring system and how I would categorize game scores. Whenever I ran it through our system, it came back with an 87 out of 100 based on 8 categories, including fun, accessibility, appeal to different audiences. 87 is a fantastic game. Now, some people, like I said, might not get into the superhero theme, but if you can get over that, the artwork is fantastic. The customization is wonderful as far as team makeup, because everybody can choose a different hero. The game comes with several heroes. I think, what does it come with? 9 heroes?
Yeah.
I think 9, somewhere around 9. I could be wrong. 9 heroes with the base game, which is what we have here. It comes with 4 villains and 4 environments. That's a lot of combinations for a lot of really cool battles. And the fact that it's co-op just makes it that much cooler. Any final thoughts?
No.
No? Cool game?
No.
Final thoughts?
That if you're going to play this game, make sure you have more than 3 people, or make sure you have some really experienced players on your team.
Yep, that is true. Being familiar with the heroes is very important. The last couple of games we've played, we've gone out of our way to play heroes we've never played before, and we lost pretty handily. But that adds to the fun. You'll know next time, well, this hero might work well against this villain or in this environment, because different heroes have different abilities. Some of them destroy environment cards, some of them deal a lot of damage, so for the higher hit point bosses or villains, that's very handy. Overall, I absolutely love this game, highly recommend it. It has several expansions by now, and as we get them, we're going to be reviewing them as well. Well, thank you very much for watching. Again, this is our very first video. Please be sure to subscribe, like, share, Twitter, Facebook, slap, poke, do all that stuff. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.